Dragonmaids, an archetype about dragons that turn into maids. What more do you want? They're a fun archetype to use, and not only are they fun, they can take on most threats faced against them with reasonable success, thanks to their playstyle of swarming the field with high-powered dragons with protective effects. This is my first video where I talk about UV archetype and explain to the best of my abilities and my knowledge how the deck plays and how you can use it in your game, while also explaining how to fight someone using this deck themselves. Now, let's first start things off with the basics of a Dragonmaid deck: the monsters, magic, and trap cards. The first thing I'm going to explain about is how they work. Dragonmaids come in two forms, the Maids and the Dragon. The Maid forms are weak in power, but each have two effects attached to each one. The first is one that allows them to search or bring out other Dragonmaid cards, either to the hand or to the grave or even to the field in one Dragonmaid's case. However, it is their second effect that really gets them going. As a Dragonmaid, Maid can enter her dragon form during the battle phase, going from a weak maid to a powerful dragon, and the best part is, she can be in the hand or the grave and still be summoned to the field by the maid. After the battle phase is over and the dragon is still on the field, if her maid form is in the hand, then the dragon and maid can swap places, and if her effect hasn't been activated that turn, she can activate it as this is a special summon. As a final effect, the dragon forms are protected from destruction by card effects, so long as a dragon-type fusion is on the field with them. We'll discuss that later. As for playstyle, Dragonmaids are all about swarming the field at first with weak dragon-type maids that allow the user to perform specific tasks related to the monster in question. Once the battle phase starts is where the Dragonmaids archetypes shine. The Dragonmaids allow users to swap between a weak but versatile maid with a unique effect, and a powerful dragon with a high attack and a discard effect that can be triggered before the battle phase starts and brought back to the fight, allowing you to recycle between the two as you wish whenever you want as the duel progresses. Starting off with the weakest, we have the Laundry Dragonmaid and her dragon form of Nudgal. When Laundry hits the field via normal or special summon, she can activate her effect where she can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the grave. While this ain't a good thing for some decks, for the Dragonmaids it's actually beneficial, since most of the cards want to be in the grave at one point or another. But be careful, because Laundry is the youngest of the maids and her effects hit or miss. You could score big or lose some highly valuable cards you'd rather not see gone. As for Nudgal isn't the most threatening of the Dragonmaid dragons, but don't let her 2600 attack fool you. She and Ernest can still deal insane amounts of damage when things go down. As for her effect, if you happen to have Nudgal in your hand, and you or your opponent have monsters in the grave, you can send her to the grave and then target one of those monsters to send back to the deck. This is a great way to interrupt the player who uses monster effects while they're in the graveyard. It can also help break certain chain combos that depend on that monster being in the grave. Or, if you have a monster you need back in your deck for whatever reason, you can send Nudgal there and send said monster back to the deck to take her place. Also, fun fact, I once used Nudgal's effect to send one of 2 Ash Blossoms from my grave to my deck, and the next turn, I pulled that Ash Blossom. Thanks, Nudgal. Now, we move on to the Nurse Dragonmaid and her dragon form of Ernest. While Nurse isn't a Dragonmaid you should run lot of copies of, her ability to special summon a maid from the grave back to the field once a turn shouldn't be scoffed at. If you're in a tight spot and you need to get maids on the field to hold the line and buy you one more precious turn, or even to use them for one reason or another, Nurse Dragonmaid is your girl to call upon. As remember, any Dragonmaid Maid summoned via normal or special summon can activate their effects. As for her dragon form Ernest's effect to discard herself from the hand to special summon a Maid Dragonmaid to the field allows you to bring out an additional Maid if you've already normal summoned or for whatever reason your previous summon was cancelled or negated. allowing you to activate your Dragonmaid summon combos one way or the other. The best part is, her effect is a quick effect, so you can trigger her effect during the opponent's turn and bring out maids during the opponent's turn, potentially bringing out dragon forms. Combined with Nurse, Ernest can bring out 2 maids with just her maid and dragon form working together. Potentially 3 when combined with Parlor's effect. Speaking of which, now we move on to the heavier hitters of the Dragonmaids, starting with the Parlor Dragonmaid. Parlor's ability to send a Dragonmaid card straight from the deck to the graveyard is extremely valuable and important to the archetype's success. Notice I said Dragonmaid card, as she can send any Dragonmaid card from the deck to the grave, monster, magic, or trap. While you can use her to send a dragon form to the grave, you can choose to send another card to the grave depending on the situation. For example, sending Changeover to bring it back to the hand, sending Tidying to use its banish effect to special summon a Dragonmaid from the hand or the grave, or Welcome to provide your Dragonmaid's protection from card effects for a turn. Lorpar, Parlor Dragonmaid's dragon form, is a versatile dragon of the Dragonmaids. Her ability to be discarded and target an opponent's monster to prevent them from activating any of its effects for the turn is a great way to either bait out negate effects or shut down troublesome monster effects for a turn. Notice I didn't say negate an opponent's monster's effect. Lorpar cannot entirely negate the target, only prevent the opponent from activating their effects. If they have an effect that prevents them from being destroyed in battle or by card effects, she cannot shut that down. But if they have an effect where a monster that battled it is destroyed at the end of the turn, for example, she can stop it from activating. At least for one turn. Now we move on to the Kitchen Dragonmaid. Kitchen Dragonmaid's effect is similar to Parlor's, but unlike Parlor, she can only target Dragonmaid monsters and bring them to the hand. However, you have to send a Dragonmaid monster from the hand to the grave afterwards. So unless you're drawing dragons to send them to the grave, you better have another Dragonmaid you're willing to send to the grave in your hand when you activate her effect. As for Tinkek, Kitchen's dragon form, Tinkek is your heavy hitter and the Dragonmaid you're going to be discarding a lot to power up your Dragonmaid cards. Her effect, where she is discarded, only allows her to target one Dragonmaid monster on your side of the field. So you can't use her for anything else but a Dragonmaid. But her effect after being discarded grants the target Dragonmaid 2,000 attack points for the duration of the turn, giving you a huge advantage in a battle of high attack monsters. The best part is, if she's in your hand, her effect is a quick effect, allowing you to send her to the grave during the opponent's battle phase, right before the attack lands, boosting your Dragonmaid's attack by 2,000 and making them slam their monster into their own defense. The final maid of the group, and by far the most important, the Chamber Dragonmaid. Chamber's effect allows you to draw a Dragonmaid, magic, or trap card from your hand to the deck. That's it. But don't let that effect fool you. Chamber is often used to bring out the key card to the Dragonmaid deck's success, the Dragonmaid Changeover, or if not, the Dragonmaid Welcome card, which gives the Dragonmaids extra firepower and recovery, but we'll talk about those later. Her true power, however, is in her secondary effect. I haven't talked about this yet, but each of the Dragonmaids can only go into specific Dragonmaid dragons, and can't go into others outside of the restrictions placed on them. For example, Kitchen and Parlor cannot go into Nudyal and Ernest, and Laundry and Nurse cannot go into Lorpar and Tinkek. They can go into each other dragon forms, but not those two of the other two. So, say you have Kitchen on the field and a Lorpar in the grave and Tinkek in the hand. Kitchen can go into Lorpar, and then you can use Tinkek's effect to boost Lorpar's power. But Nurse cannot go into Lorpar or Tinkek, and if you don't have a corresponding dragon that the maid can go into during the battle phase, the maid is kinda stuck on the field. Chamber, however, can go into any of the dragon forms, so she can be alone and go into Ernest, Nudyal, Lorpar, or Tinkek, allowing you to keep Chamber safe. But her real strength comes in the fact that she is the only Dragonmaid that can go into the boss monsters of the archetype, Shio and House. Speaking of which, House Dragon Maid and Dragon Maid Shio. Unlike other archetypes that have potentially one or even two boss monsters, the Dragon Maids have two boss monsters that are treated as one and the same. House can only be summoned to the field via the fusion of one Dragon Maid and one Dragon type monster. As for Shio, she requires one Dragon Maid and one level 7 or higher Dragon type monster. Well, guess what? Dragon Maids are both. Now, House Dragon Maid does not have an ability where she can go into her dragon form like the others. However, while she's on the field, anytime a dragon type monster returns to the hand, she can destroy one monster on the opponent's side of the field. This is potentially game-ending with how often the Dragon Maids can go from Maid to Dragon, and then Dragon to Maid, depending on how many Maids are present. She can wipe the opponent's board clean in one fell swoop during your turn or the opponent's turn. As for another effect, if there's a Dragon Maid monster on the field during either player's standby phase, she can target that monster and then special summon a Dragon Maid monster from the grave or hand that is one level higher or lower than the target of that monster in defense mode. Finally, we move on to the Ultimate Dragon Maid, the true form of the House Dragon Maid and by far the strongest of them all. House Dragon Maid, Dragon form, Shio. House alone was pretty strong, but she pales in comparison to her dragon form of Shio. Dragon Maid Shio comes with the strongest attack and defense of the Dragon Maids, and she comes with a powerful set of effects. The first effect allows her to negate any card effect the opponent tries to activate, no matter where, from the grave, the hand, the field, or even the banished zone. When used, the card's effect is negated and destroyed, but at a price. When Shio uses this effect, she goes back to the extra deck, but in her place, she brings out House Dragon Maid to replace her, allowing her to keep protecting the other Dragon Maids via their Archetype protective effect. If she's on the field, however, during either player's standby phase, she can bring out any level 9 or below Dragon Maid from the hand or grave. This including House Dragon Maid if she's in the grave for whatever reason. As a bonus, if a player tries to negate her effect and destroy her, she can negate that negate, go back to the extra deck, special summon her house form, and then Shio's effect to summon out a level 9 or lower Dragon Maid still activates, since it was never negated. Since it's the standby phase still, then House Dragon Maid's effect can activate, allowing you to special summon another Dragon Maid. As for the magic and trap cards, Dragon Maid Welcome allows your monsters to gain 100 attack and defense points for each Dragon Maid monster on the field. If you have 2 or more Dragon Maids on the field, Welcome will let you bring a Dragon Maid card from the grave back to the hand once per turn. Finally, if it's ever sent to the grave, during that turn, your opponent cannot target Dragon Maids on the field with card effect until the end of the turn. Dragon Maid Send-Off is a quick play card that lets you target one Dragon Maid on the field, special summon another from the hand with a different name to the field in defense mode, and then send the target back to the hand. And until the end phase of the next turn, that Dragon Maid cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effect. Dragon Maid Changeover lets you fusion summon using monsters on the field to bring out Dragon type fusion monster from the extra deck using the Dragon Maid. If it's ever in the grave, you can use its once per turn effect to target a Dragon Maid monster on the field and send it back to the hand. And if you do, Dragon Maid Changeover will return to the hand from the grave. Dragon Maid Hospitality is a magic card that lets you special summon a Dragon Maid monster from the hand or graveyard to the field into defense mode, and then lets you send a Dragon Maid with the same attribute but a different name from the deck to the grave, but only once per turn. This is a great way to get maids on the field for free and get their dragon forms into the grave so you aren't leaving the maids alone, while also letting you use their effects for other purposes potentially. Dragon Maid Tidying. When activated from the field, you can target the one Dragon Maid from your field and one card your opponent controls or is in their graveyard and return them to the hand. If your tidying's ever in the graveyard, you can banish it and special summon one Dragon Maid from your hand or grave to the field into defense mode. But the Dragon Maid returns to the hand afterwards. Note, you can only use the effects of a tidying card once per turn, so you can't use it to send a card to the hand and then activate it to special summon a Maid to the field in the same turn. Dragon Maid Downtime. Downtime works like tidying, sending a targeted Dragon Maid on the field back to the hand, but allows you one of two effects. You can either bring a Dragon Maid card from your deck to the hand, or you can send a spell or trap that your opponent has on the field back to their hand. You can only use this card's effect once per turn. Now that we've covered the cards, let's cover how to play them and then how to beat them as an archetype. Dragonmaids players want to rush out Shio and House as soon as you can. Since a lot of decks have card destruction ability, using the power of your archetype's ability to protect against it is key to your success. Shio and the House will protect your Dragonmaids from being destroyed. Using Shio's negate effect will also be key to your success. Don't use her true power just to stop your opponent from playing Upstart Goblin. Even if you had 3 Shios on the field, you'll only be allowed to activate each of her effects once per turn. So, you only have 1 negate with Shio. It's powerful, but you only get to use it once, so use it wisely. Second, swarming the field with Dragon Maids is fun, but remember, Maids don't benefit from protection like their Dragon forms while a Dragon Fusion is on the field. Until the Dragon forms are on the field, the Maids are vulnerable. If you have access to downtime or changeovers effects, you can keep the dragons on the field, play their Maid forms for their effects, then pull the Maids back to safety before the opponent can take them out. Likewise, don't hesitate to pull some, but not all of your dragon forms back to the hand. Using their effects is key to victory, and you can turn the tide in most duels. Another thing Dragon Maid players should know is that you don't just pull all of your Maids to the hand and then send out the dragons in one fell swoop. You do this one at a time. This allows you to use the quick effects of the dragons, like Tinkek and Ernest, as soon as it's the start of the battle phase. Until you finish special summoning out the dragon forms, you can play Ernest, summon out a Maid, activate her effect, then summon out that Maid's dragon form. One play you can make is to summon out another Dragon Maid dragon form. Use Tinkek's effect to give that dragon power. Then, if you have Kitchen or Parlor, you can bring Tinkek back to the field to attack with. Then, if she's still on the field, you can bring her back to the hand to use her quick effect next turn. Look at your options, Dragon Maid users also. Depending on your hand, you can potentially bring out Shio and House in the same turn, and during the opponent's turn, bring out additional Dragon Maid to bolster your field and your defenses in case things go awry for whatever reason. Use Kitchen and Parlor to get key Dragon Maid monsters and cards to the grave, so your Maids have dragon forms to go into and aren't sitting ducks. Chamber's a key Maid to your game plan of swarming the field with dragons and bringing out the fusion form. Don't underestimate her power, but also don't overestimate her capabilities either. While Chamber can go into the fusion forms of the Dragon Maids, she cannot go into them if they are special summoned via an effect. For example, if you activate Shio's Negate, then bring out House, and if for any reason that House Dragon Maid is destroyed, you cannot use Chamber to bring out that particular House Dragon Maid. I'm not sure if it's by design or not, but Chamber can only go into extra deck Dragon Maids if they are summoned normally, meaning you use Changeover's effect and not Shio's effect. Likewise, if your opponent is trying to blow up all of your dragons and you have Shio on the field, you can sacrifice Shio to the destruction effect, and if you can, bring out Chamber via a card effect, so that if the opponent goes into the battle phase, Chamber can bring out Shio for a nasty surprise. Use your Dragon Maids to overwhelm the opponent with high attack dragons, while using the effects of your Maids and your dragons to bolster your field's offensive and defensive power, and slowly whittling away at the oppositions. Using your traps and magic cards is key to keeping yourself safe. If you have Tidying in the grave, you can use it as an emergency summon to bring out a mate to the field, and if you have Send Off, you can use its power to bring out a Dragon Maid from your hand to act as a strong but temporary shield to keep you safe for one turn, buying you time to regain momentum. In terms of momentum, the Dragon Maids can snowball quickly and bring overwhelming power against your foes. Deciding on when to bring out Shio and House is up to you. Don't be afraid to bring them out turn 1, but if that's not possible, then try your best to set up your maids to be as defensive as possible until you can bring out the bigger dragons. Combining your Dragon Maids with cards that help send their dragon clones to the grave or drawing them out of the grave will benefit your playstyle, allowing you to swarm the field with powerful dragons before your opponent can respond effectively. Finally, don't hesitate to use the power of Shield to bring out the House. While Shield is far stronger than House, House's ability to clean the opponent's field is devastating, and often duelists will surrender the moment she starts bossing their monsters without you launching a single attack. Now, for those of you who find yourselves on the opposite side of the board, worry not because Dragon Maids are far from immortal. If Shield is on the field, then your best bet is to use an effect that forces the opponent to respond. If they don't respond to it, then you'll be free to get away with what you want. Shield's negate only works once per turn, and once it's gone, Shield's gone as well. The Maids are vulnerable while on the field, so until you enter the battle phase, see if you can use your card Destruction effect to blow up the Maids before they can enter the battle phase and enter their dragon forms. House Dragon Maid's power isn't to be underestimated, but has a fatal flaw in it. If you can find a way to negate her effect, or more practically, reduce the number of maids on the field, her power evaporates, and she becomes nothing more than a 3,000 attack monster. Keep in mind how your cards work, as many cards have destruction protection, but not against return to the hand protection. Dragon Maids thrive on sending cards back to the hand. If you attempt to fuse, Xyz, or link summon against them, beware of the Tidying Trap card on the field, as it can turn all your work to summon out a monster into a waste of time. Combined with the House Dragon Maid, this is a deadly combo. Hit the back row before you play any monster, as until you have a card for them to target with Tidying's effect, that card cannot work. Likewise, beware its secondary effect, where if they allow it to be destroyed, expect them to try and use it to bring out a Dragon Maid monster during your turn. Now, a wary Dragon Maid player will keep Shield's effect for as long as possible. If you can force her to negate an effect during your battle phase, then you can potentially sweep aside the other thing, leaving House unable to special summon any maids or dragons next turn if she still remains for whatever reason. Of course, the simplest way to defeat a Dragon Maid player is simply to banish their dragons entirely. While in the grave, the dragons and maids can still make plays, and a Dragon Maid player's true resources is how many dragons and maids he has access to at any one point, whether via the effects of the maids or the magic and trap card. Even if left with only 2 maids in hand and 1 magic card on the field, a Dragon Maid player can easily swarm the field with his lovely dragons in no time. Other ways to shut down a Dragon Maid player is to limit how many monsters they can play at any one time. Cards such as Kaiser Colosseum, Vanity's Emptiness, Vanity's Ruler, or even archetypes like the Ojama archetype are counters to the Dragon Maid. Other popular archetypes like the Chagall, which include monsters that limit special summons or destroy special summon monsters on attack, also counter the Dragon Maid's playstyle. Cards that shut down effects and magic cards effects are naturally devastating, but even without them, a smart Dragon Maid player can still make something happen even with the limited resources available to them. Don't underestimate a Dragon Maid player's resourcefulness in attacks, as often what kills your opponent's deck can often kill you at the same time. And while a Dragon Maid player may not have answers to everything, they can usually work themselves out of a tight spot if given any room to maneuver. So, whether you're using them or you're against them, remember that the Dragon Maids are resourceful and have answers to multiple threats on many fronts. What they lack in negates, they make up for in protection and versatility. And I hope you enjoyed my Dragonmaids hospitality. Hope you enjoyed this first Yu-Gi-Oh video where I talk about an archetype, its cards, its playstyle, and more importantly how to play as it and how to counter it. If you liked the video, then tell me what archetype you'd like me to cover, but be reasonable as I'd have to talk about every card in the archetype and the various strategies they have. And also, tell me what I could improve. See you next time. Bye-bye!